I remember Leon Brittan as one of the most brilliant politicians of his generation. A Rolls-Royce brain, maybe we thought there were more of in those days than the clapped-out Peugeots we have to put up with increasingly today. I think he could have lived a very privileged life as a high-powered barrister making lots of money, instead of which he worked really hard to get himself into Parliament. Leon would not have said there was any prejudice as to why he didn't get in, but I would say that there were
anti-Semitic,
yeah, of course. Yeah. And then, as soon as he got in, of course, he became one of the key people in Margaret Thatcher's team, because, she provided the rhetorical lead, but it needed really hard-working, dedicated people to carry through some of these reforms. And, I was at the Home Office for 5 years, a lot of them with him, and I just remember it was exhilarating to be doing office, and he was an inspiring leader. I never heard him say a bad word about anybody. I never saw him do anything that was intellectually arrogant, but we knew that but he would dissect our arguments, sometimes not to our advantage, but he would do it with a kindly mien,
He wasn't a lucky politician or minister, though. He got into trouble at the Home Office over policy matters and then got caught in the crossfire, as it's been put, of the Western affair.
In the fight between Tarzan and the slightly overpowering Jane, yeah. Yes, he wasn't a lucky politician, actually, because it wasn't his fault, and Heseltine was very generous about him today and said it wasn't his fault. But I remember Leon talking to me at the time he was offered the European Commissionership and saying, did I think it was right that he should take it? And I said, yes, if you don't think you're ever going to be have a big cabinet post again, because you're too good to waste. And he took it on, and then, he got immersed. People forget this. We now send third-rate people, don't we, to be commissioners, people who aren't even household names in our own front rooms. But Leon was a major figure, and he got involved in trade negotiations, where you've got to have A, a big brain, and B, a big ability to, push boredom to one side. He did a great job there, although it wasn't what he wanted to do, but he did it because he was that kind of guy.
He was, of course, a leading pro-European, as he proved as European Commissioner. Again, that's a big change with today's Conservative Party.
Yes, and it's almost more interesting, whether people like Leon, who are big pro-Europeans, whether they would still be in the European world of today. But, the tragedy, there are two tragedies involved in this, interlinked. One, a man like Leon Brittan, who is a lovely fellow. I mean, I had lunch with him not so long ago. Lovely, lovely man, delightful companion. He shouldn't have died at 75, which we now don't think of as a great age, but also he died at an inconvenient time for his reputation. Because, I like Simon Danchuk. He and I, when Ken isn't around, he presents my LBC show with me. He's a nice chap. But you see, everybody is spinning a yarn, a tissue of untruths and myths about Geoffrey Dickens and his wretched dossier. Nobody knows what was in that dossier. Knowing Geoffrey, as we all did, there's no reason to believe it was some carefully thought-through set of allegations. I'm in no doubt that Leon Brittan would have handed that into the Home Office to be worked upon. After all, if there were criminal allegations, it's not for the Home Secretary to investigate them.
You know very well, David Mellor, that at the time, leave Geoffrey Dickens to one side, there were constantly rumours and insinuations against Leon Brittan in this area.
Yes, which I also did not believe. But I think there are some people to whom rumours attach. But I can tell you, I've spent a lot of time at that period with Leon. You get to know a chap very well, and I tell you what, he was, I think, one of the finest, had the best brain of any politician I worked with, and I just don't think that some of these sort of sexual tittle-tattle that I believe to be untrue. No one's ever substantiated any of this, and it's a shame he dies. People won't remember for 20 or 30 years that he spent doing a job that paid little and, as we can see, offered little by the way of reward, of public adulation. He could have lived a very privileged life, and now all he gets is, what did Geoffrey Dickens say to him? We all know that Geoffrey would have just put in some stuff that he'd been given by the tabloid press, which they couldn't publish, but they thought it would be good if he presented it to the Home Secretary.
That there is now stuff about that period which is coming out, which we were unaware of at the time, which is fairly shocking.
Exactly, but that's the point. I can tell you, as the father of 2 young boys in the 80s, as a Home Office Minister, if I'd had any idea that somebody I was sort of in the division lobby with was actually some active paedophile, I can assure you I'd have dealt with it with the same alacrity that, one dealt with some other things, not always making oneself a lot of friends along the way. I am totally and utterly certain that Leon Brittan would never have been party to any kind of cover-up of anything like that. The extraordinary thing, and I am astonished by it, is, the idea that Special Branch intervened to protect Cyril Smith. Why would they have done that? But if they did, there was obviously stuff going on that didn't reach the levels that we were at. And I think it should be cleansed. But I think Leon, his reputation should not be besmirched by something that, a half-an-hour meeting, with a headline-seeking Conservative backbencher.
David Mellor, thank you very much.